Kim here from Chemistry with a quick thought for you. So think about insurance, think about pre-existing health conditions, right? You go in, you want to get insured, you want to be covered, and one of the things that the insurance company is going to want to find out is, were you already messed up before we start paying for something to cover you if you get sick, right? If you already had back issues, and is the insurance company going to want to pay as if your back is perfect? No, right? They're going to want to find out what happened to you before that. Think about this in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion practices. When your organization, your school, your nonprofit, your public sector business, your private sector business decides it wants to take on diversity, equity, inclusion efforts and put good practices into place so that everybody feels welcome and affirmed and encouraged, or even if it's on a different scale where they just want to make sure they are being compliant. While it is okay that they're putting that practice into place, it's kind of like a pre-existing health condition, right? As an adult, when I go into a work environment, or even as a student, once I hit middle school or high school and I'm walking into that school building, things have already happened to me based on my experiences, perhaps my identities, that have harmed me or hurt me in some kind of way. And while I might have survived these things, I might have a scar from them. I have a memory, I have some kind of trigger point where if you hit that red button, I'm going to react in some kind of way, whether it's internally or externally. So your diversity, equity, and inclusion practice might take care of policies, practices, and procedures to move forward in practicing good work. But it doesn't take care of the fact that something has already harmed me. And what if you have some policies, practices, and procedures that are a trigger for something that may have hurt me in my past? Because contrary to popular belief, we bring our whole selves into every environment we walk into. And that means you got to deal with what happens to me if the thing that hurt me in the 7th grade or in the 12th grade or in my first job or in my 3rd job happens to get triggered while I'm at your work site. So now you think I'm just being mean or prickly or silent, or I just want to leave work early at the end of the day because I may or may not be checked into being fully engaged at work, when maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something different. So my question for you is, when we're tackling diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, are you just picking things up right in the middle of the story, or are you taking into consideration that we are whole people, whole human beings with a long timeline of stories, and that when we're taking care of each other, when we're supposed to be charged with doing no harm, are we taking into consideration that the person has a whole story and that we need to check into their whole story to make sure that they're okay? So just a thought for you to think about. And a hope that when we are building communities that we're calling safe, if they're really safe at all, which I argue that they're not, for these kinds of reasons, that we're keeping in mind that people have to trust us in order for us to know how to take care of them, how they can take care of us, and how we can be in relationship with each other. We have to be a little more authentic to be able to create safer spaces for each other when we're in shared environments. So in order to be more authentic, you got to figure out how to trust people. And in order to do that, you got to know my story. Challenge for you, challenge for all of us. And in this space, I'm hoping that you can find a way to be who you are authentically, even if it's just a little bit more, 2 percentage points more than yesterday. If you can be a little more of your authentic self today in a new space, and hoping that when you do so, that your authenticity will be contagious. Thanks.